Here is a lunch that I made in just under 30 minutes. It also provided me with plenty of leftovers. So I started with 5 chicken thighs. They're in bags because I always sort them from the packages that I buy. I have 1 red onion, as you saw there. I have Shan chicken masala. This is kind of like if Betty Crocker decided to get into the Indian spice mix business. Everything is already there, everything that you need, and already in the perfect ratios. I have ginger paste. I have that bowl that you see always lined with a plastic bag for trash whenever I'm in the kitchen. Helps me keep my kitchen clean. All right, I'm also going to make a coconut rice, tengai sadam, or nariyal chawal, or depending on like what your language is, what you would call that in India. For this, we will need, for coconut rice, you can imagine we need rice. This is rice that I made the night before when I had made a stir fry. So I have about 3.5 cups of rice there. I have sweetened coconut flakes. Now I have my own coconut trees in my yard in Miami, as you may have seen if you watch all my videos. But you probably don't have that, so feel free to use sweetened coconut flakes. I'll show you how to use them. I have dried red chilies, bay leaf, cumin seeds, mustard seeds, 2 garlic cloves, and some curry leaf sprigs. You can buy those at any Indian store. Those came from my trees, though. I'm also going to make some gunpowder potatoes. I have 2 baking potatoes, and I have some gunpowder seasoning. You could totally use like the baby potatoes. Those would actually be even better. This is just what I had in the house. I'm going to make something called raita. Now, I use sour cream in mine. People are so surprised. They're like, oh, no, it's supposed to be yogurt. Try it with sour cream. I bet you it's better. All right, I have red onion for that, cilantro, cucumber, tomato, and like pretty much everything here. It's going to need a little salt and pepper. I also have a radish. Or I'm sorry, a beet. Not a radish, a beet. All right, so I'm going to start by cutting up my well-washed potatoes into cubes, salting some water, setting it to a boil. That's going to be for our potatoes. For my tomatoes, as you can see, some of it got diced, some of it got sliced. The slices are going to be used for a garnish that's meant to be eaten. And then the diced ones are going to go into a bowl. I'm going to do the exact same thing to my cucumbers. Some are going to be diced, some will be sliced for garnish. The diced one is going to go into the bowl for our raita, which is like a mouth-cooling, fresh side to go with spicy foods. Okay, adding a little salt and pepper there. All right, so a little more than half of my onion is going to be sliced and used in the chicken. Then a little less than half of the onion is going to get diced and go into the raita. So there's our slice for our chicken. And then we have the dice that's going into the raita. Tiny bit more salt there. And then we're going to go in with just a few tablespoons of, just like barely 2 tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of sour cream. Yes, you could use the lower fat sour cream. It's useless because we're only using 3 tablespoons basically of sour cream here, and there's so much here, and so each person is going to get like the equivalent of like a teaspoon maybe of full fat sour cream. So the amount of fat that you'd be saving is so negligible, it really doesn't matter. And you're going to be able to use the full fat sour cream in more applications like baking. That's why I only buy the full fat. All right, I'm tossing in my potato cubes, and I'm just going to cover that, and we're only going to let it cook for like seriously like 2-3 minutes. I'm not trying to cook it all the way through because I'm going to pan fry it. I just want it to be, soft enough in the middle. I chopped up my cilantro. I chopped up my 2 cloves of garlic. I set those aside. All right, this is my bowl of sweetened coconut flakes. I soaked them in the water for 2 reasons. One, to remove some, not all, of the added sugar, and also just to rehydrate that coconut. I removed my potatoes from the water, and I'm straining them now. I'm just letting them cool off. All right, we're going to get started on our chicken. Hot pan, some neutral oil. This is our 5 chicken thighs cut into bite-sized pieces. You can use any neutral oil that you may have. That can be like vegetable oil, canola oil. Does look like a lot of oil, but remember this is a lot of chicken here that we're cooking. And it's way less oil than you're getting in any kind of fast food also. So it's like 5 servings of chicken that we're making here. So between the 5 servings, the oil is not really too much. Okay, we let our oil heat well in the pan. Take a look at all the different spices that are here in this Shan chicken masala seasoning packet. Carom, brown cardamom, green cardamom. If you are still in the process of stocking a spice cabinet, if you had to purchase all of those things independently, it'd be very expensive all in one go. In the short run, as you're building your spice wardrobe, I guess you could say, or spice cabinet, this is way cheaper just to buy the spice mixes. All right, so I've added my sliced red onion. We'll saute that until it starts to turn golden brown and soften. I'm adding my entire packet of the Shan spice mix, and we're gonna dry fry that. I did end up adding just about a teaspoon more of oil, which you will see in just a moment. We're trying to cook some of the rawness out of those spices. There's my barely, it's not even a full teaspoon of oil that I added. This just needs a minute. All right, now we added our chicken. I almost have too much chicken in here. The problem with adding too much chicken to the pot is that it won't saute and it won't have any browning. If it's overcrowded, it will end up steaming and boiling, and so you won't get any nice color and sear on your meat. Like I said, it was almost too much. If I had like even 2-3 more pieces in here, it would have been too much. I was cutting it close. The best thing to do if your pan is too small to cook the amount of meat that you have is just to cook it in 2 batches. I didn't do that though. I have it a little above medium heat so that I can get a little bit of color and sear on my chicken. It's okay if I don't cook my chicken all the way through at this point. We're just trying to get some color on it and sear it. Adding a heaping teaspoon of ginger paste. I've turned my heat back down a little below medium. I'm not trying to burn my ginger here. My chicken is getting great color on it now. I've added just enough water to cover my chicken. I'm going to move it to a different burner. I'll cover this pot, this saute pan, and I'll just cook it on a little lower heat, let it simmer, because we do want to make sure that our chicken is cooked all the way through. Chicken thighs are a much better meat for the beginner because they're a lot more forgiving. They're a lot less likely to dry out. They're also much more affordable in general, unless you're getting your chicken breasts on sale. All right, now I'm adding about 2 teaspoons of coconut oil to my cassoulet pan that I'm going to make my coconut rice in. You could use any neutral oil, 2 teaspoons of any neutral oil. If you can use the coconut, it's just going to add another, very subtle, fantastic coconut flavor to your rice. I'm going in with cumin seeds, mustard seeds, and curry leaves. Throwing in our bay leaf. We're going to saute that. It's going to start spluttering if our oil was suitably hot enough. You're going to see some mustard seeds popping. All right, we're going in with Nice teaspoon of ginger paste. You see my mustard seeds popping and cracking. Okay, going in with 2 cloves of garlic, my 1 torn up red chili. Now, some people would put urad dal, chana dal, and cashews in here. I didn't put that in at this point. Okay, now we're going in with our drained coconut flakes that have rehydrated, but we squeezed the water out of them before we put them in. That just needs a minute to saute. Let's add about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Keep in mind we are adding 3 cups of rice, and we've also added about 1 cup of coconut. So we do need some salt. That's even for those of us who are minding our salt intake, which should be everybody. Okay, 3 cups of rice. Okay, I'm just sauteing this now until our rice is well heated through. All of the rice should get some coconut flavor attached to it, just evenly mixing this. My kitchen was smelling fantastic at this point. Okay, my chicken has definitely had enough time to cook through. We're increasing the heat now, and we're removing the lid so that some of that liquid can reduce, because we want a little bit of a thicker gravy to our chicken curry. Okay, I set my cooked rice aside. Put a couple of teaspoons of any neutral oil into a different pan so that I could start to make my potatoes. My potatoes were just barely cooked through. They still have quite a bite to them, and they cooled off. We're going to pan fry these. Light sprinkling of salt on them. We're looking for them to get a little bit of color, golden color, and get kind of dried out before we add our gunpowder seasoning. Gunpowder, that one I made myself, but you can buy gunpowder seasoning at any Indian store. It's just the name for that specific type of seasoning, and it goes great on like roasted potatoes. Little bit of color just starting to form. These actually are not the best potato for what I'm doing. I would have rather have used some of like the small fingerling potatoes. I feel like those would have been better. This is like a baking potato. This would have been much better in the samosas that I'm going to be making in a couple of days. But a lot of home cooking is about using what we have, even if it's not the ideal thing, what we wish that we had. So that's why I'm using baking potatoes today for this. Okay, go easy on the gunpowder seasoning. It can be a little bit spicy if you're not used to spicy food. Sprinkle a little at a time. All right, and once I'm satisfied and I feel like my gunpowder potatoes are completely ready to go, only during the last 10-15 seconds will I add in a handful of my chopped cilantro. We're not trying to cook that cilantro. All right, I'm dicing up a peeled beet. Used a vegetable peeler just to peel the washed beet. I put the the diced up pieces of beets in just a very little bit of water just to boil them just for a minute. I'm not trying to cook those until they're soft and mushy. Those should have a little bit of bite to them. And the purpose of that is I'm going to take a little bit of that, just a little bit of that juice, and then the diced up beets, and I'm going to add that to a separated portion of the raita. So we'll have two kinds of the raita. We'll have just the regular standard one, and then we'll have one that has some beets added to it for a little bit more, kind of, I guess you could say, crunch. And it's just a little bit of variety that didn't really cost you any, like a ton of extra effort. So let's get our platter set up. This is a Thaali, also just the word for plate, and or like a platter. I put my rice there in a pre-measured cup. I'm adding a little bit of salt to my beets. As you can see, chicken, gunpowder potatoes, my raita. I'm going to take some of that raita and I'm going to mix it with the beets, like I said, as you see there. So that way I have two kinds of raita there. We're using our cucumbers and our tomatoes that were sliced on the bias. So we can use them as a garnish. That's definitely not purely decorative. It's meant to be eaten. We have some cilantro there. Again, meant to be eaten. I have two wedges of lime, and then I also have some coconut macaroons. I'll show that recipe another day. Those are delicious. They're chewy and on the outside, and the inside is soft. It's a really unique texture. Mass-produced foods can't really mimic the multiple textures that you can get from like home cookies. So this is not a cheat meal. This is a weight management meal, and yet it looks so much better than what some people eat as their cheat meal. It also came together in just under 30 minutes. I had lunch for myself and for Eric, and we also had leftovers from that. I will be showing specifically Thaali or Indian platter style meals that have a healthy level of calories, and yet they're giant platters that are really satisfying to the eye. One of the things I've noticed, a mistake of the Western mindset about like managing calories, something that a lot of Western people see as a hack, is they say, oh, well, just put your food on a smaller plate and it will trick your eye. It does not trick your eye. Your body knows you're not stupid. Your brain sees you're eating on a tiny plate. It's not fooled. And also, what that tells me is you're probably not getting enough vegetable and fiber. Now, this particular Thaali didn't have a ton of fiber, but I am going to be showing you ones that are more heavy on the veg, that are really satisfying, it feels like a cheat meal. You feel like you're really treating yourself, but you're treating yourself well in the sense of it's nourishment for your body, and your eye loves to see it. I notice that a lot of people, when they eat fast food or they eat trash food, they don't even make eye contact with their food. It's just kind of eating mindlessly. There's simply no way that anybody could see that as a treat. So let's talk about, as we move forward, how we really can have it all. How can we eat healthfully in ways that it looks attractive, it looks appetizing, it tastes great, we don't feel like we are depriving ourselves. Everything that you just saw me made is something you can do too. Do not wait around for a foodie friend to appear on the scene, or a romantic partner to appear on the scene before you decide that you are going to eat good food. I'm not telling you have to do this every single day. If you can pick one day a week and say, for this one day, I'm going to make a small change. It could be something as simple as I'm going to make ramen, but I'm going to cut some cucumber on the bias and make it a nice presentation. Make a little garnish, whatever it is. Do something to make your food look appetizing. You are worth good quality foods. You are worth nice presentation. You are worth taking time. If you try any of these things, let me know. I would love to hear that you are trying something new in the world of food.